On Valentine's Day, I was stabbed to death by a mentally ill person while on my way to pick up my wife Selena. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the moment when she confessed her feelings to me. In my past life, before my burial, she couldn't wait to take the compensation money and start a business with my friend who dropped out of school with me. It wasn't until my soul had watched them grow old together that I realized she married me, a man with a high education, out of vanity, and had always felt guilty towards my friend. This time, I focused deeply on scientific research, ignoring everything outside my window. Years later, she and my friend squeezed into the new elite of City A, asking around about me. Cashin, I'm so grateful that you died horribly back then. It allowed Selena to save me in both lives. Selena shoved a diamond ring the size of a pigeon's egg in my face. Cashin, I know you can't live without me, but do you think you deserve me now? I smiled lightly, then turned to ask the young lady, the richest person in City A, who had pursued me for 10 years, baby, do you have time today to go get a marriage license with me? In an instant, the color drained from Selena's face. Chapter 1. The moment I made eye contact with Selena, I felt an unfamiliar emotion stir within me. It had been 10 years. After spending a month in isolation, I finally discovered a new type of radioactive ion, and in a disheveled state, I came to a small, shabby diner for a simple meal. Selena and Robert had just finished their engagement party, looking more refined than ever. Cashin, long time no see. The old, broken TV in the corner squeaked and spit out a few words. Selena, Robert, the youngest entrepreneurs in City A, with an immeasurable fortune. She frowned, searching for something. Upon seeing the oil-stained remote, she coldly instructed the shopkeeper to turn the volume up. What's wrong? Don't recognize me anymore. Cashin, are you kidding? You've really forgotten about me. I didn't understand why. After she became successful, she looked for me for 3 or 4 years. I couldn't fathom why she showed up out of the blue, bringing with her the 81 love letters I had once written to her. A thick stack, so heavy that Robert, standing behind her, had to hold it with both hands. Cashin, 10 years apart, you've aged so much I almost didn't recognize you. We should at least hug like good friends when we meet, right? Oh, sorry. He let go, and the letters scattered on the ground. Seeing this, Selena stomped on them. Fortunately, Selena has seen the light this life. These shoes of hers are worth more than you and your parents' lives combined. I had spent several sleepless nights, starving and exhausted, and couldn't even pick up my noodles. I didn't even have the energy to argue with them. How about a handshake instead? Robert gave a fake smile and extended his hand toward me. Cashin, don't be ungrateful. I'm only here because of Selena's face. With my current status, a single word from me could make it so you couldn't even sweep the streets of City A. Enough, Robert. Selena impatiently waved his hand away. Are you really that dirty? Do you know what he's doing now? What if he passes you a disease? Do you still want me and the kid to be okay? Even though I spent 10 years convincing myself that a failed relationship didn't matter in life, seeing her lovingly caress her belly made me blink back dry tears. In my past life, Selena and I had a child, but at 5 months old, our child was lost to us due to an accident, and I had been too busy working hard to buy her a handbag, working 4 jobs a day, and missed her call for help. Afterward, I obeyed her out of guilt, working like a dog every day. It wasn't until after I died that I learned the truth. The child was accidentally lost during one of her intense sessions with Robert. Selena called me, confident that I was too busy working to answer my phone, and she was deliberately scheming against me. Bossly, can I have another bowl of noodles? I snapped back to reality, wiping my mouth and stretching. Your company has so many complicated business dealings, even with crosstalk involved. I thought that upon hearing my sarcastic tone, Selena would just leave, but to my surprise, her eyes reddened. Ignoring how dirty the place was, she plopped down right across from me. Cashin, after all these years, you haven't changed a bit. A hint of nostalgia slowly emerged in her gaze. You've never been able to fix your jealousy and spiteful nature. Huh? Cashin, let the past go. You don't need to hold on to it. After all, loving me isn't entirely your fault. Yeah, Cashin, I should thank you. Without you, I would never have met Selena, and without your death, she wouldn't have been reborn with memories to help me dominate the business world. Robert chimed in, inserting his words. After living through 2 lifetimes, I finally understood something. Some people are born bad. Robert's parents had died young, and my mom had raised him as her own. But instead of being grateful, he had done everything he could to harm me. Before the college entrance exam, he deliberately locked me in a room, and after I found a job, he would show up every day with a group of thugs to block my way, ruining one legitimate job after another. Once I finish business with old Lou, the richest person in City A, I'll finally be able to go home and focus on preparing for pregnancy. Cashin, would you like an opportunity to see me every day? Become my personal servant. And I'll pay you 20 times what you earn at the noodle shop. I looked down, thoroughly confused, scanning my body from neck to feet. Faded work clothes, heavy rain boots. The only valuable thing on me seemed to be the belt I had grabbed in haste this morning. Selina was arrogantly blind, and I was in such a sorry state that I couldn't blame her for the misunderstanding. Cashin, as your wife in the last life, I have a duty to warn you, don't be so vain. She pointed at my waist, quickly pulled out a few sheets of paper, and frantically wiped her fingers, the ones that had just touched me. These things are beyond what you could afford. What do you mean working? Uncle Lee brought the noodles to the table. I could never afford to hire Cashin. This kid's kind-hearted. The noodles are just an excuse for him to come keep me company since he's worried about me being alone. Cashin's a top student. He works across the street in that building. The diner was across from a lab, but because the work was discreet, no one came by often. The area was overgrown with weeds, giving it a slightly eerie feeling. Across the street, picking up trash or being a security guard. Come on, Cashin, you're too much of a loser. Robert covered his mouth, pretending not to laugh but failing miserably. Did you know that the L on your belt buckle is unique to the Liu family? A high achiever like you doesn't even know how to use Baidu. Honestly, I'm reconsidering whether you're even fit to be my son's nanny. Kid, you're being too harsh. Cashin, he's not what you say he is. Old Lee was a well-respected person in our neighborhood, and when we chatted, I never hid my job from him. But since I worked for the country, he couldn't really say much and just shook his head helplessly. Cashin, you didn't know Selina and I were coming to find you for this little act, did you? I get it now. You're pretending to be pitiful to make Selina soften up, but you've underestimated her love for me. As for this old man, he's just a hired actor, because you don't want to admit how far apart you and I are now. What's the use of studying? Back in high school, you acted all grown up, but you never even got an invitation from a successful person's school. Robert took out a red gilded invitation and waved it in front of me. Want to join me and visit the teacher? Before, that old man would praise you and curse me. I bet he regrets it now. Chapter 2. My hand froze mid-motion as I was eating the noodles, and I quickly started rummaging through my pockets. Are you looking for this? Robert unfolded a black and gold business card tightly gripped in his hand, and as I stood up, I tore it apart with force. Oops, my hand slipped. Cashin, you won't mind, right? Before I could speak, Selina actually raised her voice first, complaining. Robert, why are you bullying him? After graduation, I was occasionally called back by the university to give lectures. For convenience, the principal made me a special ID card. The card wasn't worth much, but I happened to need it today. Selina, you're scolding me for this useless piece of trash. It's just a scrap of paper. You even praised me when I threw away the trinket he gave you as a token of our love. No. Selina's expression wasn't too good either. She shot me a cold look. Stop staring. Don't get ahead of yourself. I just think he's already in such a miserable state. There's no need for us to lower ourselves to his level. Seeing that Robert was still upset, Selina softened her tone. Robert, haven't you always wanted to prove you're 1,000 times better than Cashin? I'll call a few old classmates to help you out. And Cashin can join too. As a comparison, it seemed like she was certain that I still loved her. As she made the decision for me, you wouldn't refuse, right? Thinking about bothering the old principal to pick me up, I nodded when I heard Selina's suggestion. Of course, free chauffeur and a private car, this was too good an opportunity to pass up. Upon hearing me say this, Robert's face gradually softened. In front of me, he exchanged a French kiss with Selina, the smacking sound echoing. Excuse me, let me change clothes. Still talking about working at the noodle shop. What normal person would change clothes in a place like this? Selina pursed her lips, her eyes full of disappointment. She turned around and stared blankly out the window. I know it must be humiliating for you to be in such a state, but Cashin, there's no need to lie to us. Your parents must have been dead for 3 years now. In this world, I'm the closest person to you. How about this? I won't make you go as a mere backdrop for Robert. I'll take you to buy 2 sets of clothes. What did you say? Before she could finish, I had already packed up. Sorry, I was busy getting dressed and didn't catch that, I said. Selina's words trailed off when she saw me unbuttoning the top button. Selina, Robert yelled furiously. What's there to look at? Don't forget whose child is in your belly. I'm telling you, I'm not worried about not getting married. The Liu family's heiress hasn't married yet, and you still don't know why. So many companies bid for us, and they probably chose us for me. I heard she's as beautiful as a fairy, and I can't guarantee I'll be able to keep my composure. No, I was wrong. Robert, please don't leave me. It seems that without my presence, Selina and Robert's relationship wasn't as harmonious as I thought. In my previous life, they grew old together without children. This time, their child was about to be born, but they still hadn't even gotten married. I glanced at my watch. The time for the appointment with the principal was getting closer, so I decided to get in the car first. Get out of here. I didn't bring you along to sit in the back seat. Robert pulled me out of the car. Robert. He doesn't need to go to the back. Your sports car is the latest model. Someone like him wouldn't drive it. I glanced at the driver's seat. There were even more high-end cars in the garage than this. But it was clear Robert was pleased with my comment, as he slammed the door shut with great pride. Enjoy it. This is probably the only chance you'll ever get in your life. As Robert wasn't paying attention, Selina turned and gave me a reassuring smile. As we neared the school gates, I sent the principal a message. He had been waiting for a while and even arranged a welcoming banner. Hey, Cashin, your Chinese is so good. Go ahead and read the characters on the banner. I told you to keep a low profile. Selina. Why is this old guy doing all this? Selina also seemed somewhat excited, pretending to be used to it. Her grades had always been poor. In my previous life, I helped her with tutoring just enough for her to barely get into a university. But this time, I didn't help her, and like Robert, she dropped out after high school. The car door opened. Robert adjusted his tie, and passed by the principal who had come to meet me. Ah, you finally made it. Principal, I'm Robert. Robert's smile hadn't faded, and he looked at the principal, who was walking toward me, confused. Did you make a mistake? Wasn't the invitation for me and Selina? You probably didn't expect this today. Life really has its turns. What did I say? I knew I'd make a grand comeback. The principal ignored him, patted me on the back, his face a mix of reproach and concern. You've lost weight again. If this continues, I'll seriously consider whether I should offer you the new project. I know you're a stubborn kid, but you can't ignore your health. And if you don't care about yourself, what about Oriana? Principal, I'm the main character today, Robert shouted, just in time to drown out the last few words. Oh, it's Robert. I didn't expect you and Selina to have changed so much. I didn't expect that you three would still be so close. Go ahead and sit in the auditorium. The speech will start soon. I didn't tell the principal about the complications between me, Robert, and Selina. He just assumed we were still inseparable like the old days. A tight-knit trio. A brief moment of awkwardness flashed across Selina's face as she quickly glanced at me, lowering her gaze, lost in thought. Robert wanted to ask who would be giving the speech, but a classmate interrupted. Robert, it's been 3 days. You're really starting to see me in a new light. I've always said Robert would succeed, and that one, Cashin, Robert added. Yeah, the wooden-headed one. Only good for burying his head in books. He's not even fit to carry Robert's shoes. Old classmates, who had once been friendly with me, now treated me as if I were a stranger, spewing all kinds of harsh words, their disdain for me obvious in every sentence. Chapter 3. Enough. Are you done yet? Selina trembled with anger, casually throwing her bag at a classmate. If you can speak properly, then speak. If not, get out. This is school, not a place for you to act wild. She grabbed my arm, clearly losing her temper. Why are you silent? How could you be so useless after living through a whole lifetime? Don't you ever fight back when others talk down to you? You're such a waste, like trying to lift mud that's stuck to the wall. Miss Selina. I caught a glimpse of Oriana, who was surrounded by people making her way forward. I knew she'd get jealous if she saw this, so I reluctantly took a step back. We don't have anything to do with each other in this life, so stay out of my business. Without waiting for her reaction, I didn't even look at her face, heading straight to the stage. Amidst the stunned expressions of Selina and Robert, I slowly unrolled the content of the meeting. The speech wasn't long, only 5 minutes or so, enough to make Robert grind his teeth and Selina drop her jaw in shock. Once everything was finished, the old principal signaled Oriana to say a few words to add a little supplement. The woman, who had pretended to be serious since entering the venue, suddenly giggled when she saw me, adding a playful charm that didn't quite fit her usual demeanor. Honey, I've missed you so much. On stage, Oriana gently embraced me. The microphone didn't pick up her voice, but it floated through the auditorium, stretching into the air. Below the stage, Selina stood in disbelief. Her legs gave way, and she dragged Robert down with her. Bravo. The old principal was the first to clap. Bravo. Such a noble sacrifice. Cashin, you truly live up to being the backbone of the National Science Team. I'm about to tear up just listening from down here. National Science Team. Principal, what does that mean? Cashin, weren't you working at the noodle shop? How are you a part of the National Science Team? And Oriana, what's your relationship with him? A flash of confusion crossed Selina's eyes, and after a brief moment of dazed silence, she finally spoke. Selina, didn't Cashin tell you? The principal seemed slightly stunned too. I remember Cashin sacrificed so much of his time to tutor you. A few of us old teachers even thought you two would get married. Never expected you to end up with Robert. The principal then turned to me. After you finish your work, are you planning to marry Oriana? I've been saying for a while that you two are no longer kids. We shouldn't have to worry about you. Better sooner than later. Why don't you do it today? I'll host. And you two should just get married. I smiled awkwardly, looking at the woman radiating on stage. It can't be rushed. You can't have a proposal ceremony like this, because of work. I've always felt guilty towards Oriana. We can't even have a proper engagement ceremony. I can't do that. You kid. The principal reached over and grabbed the speech from my hand. Why can't you get it? Oriana's not that kind of person. If you keep saying things like that, even I'll get angry. A relationship isn't about ceremony or a single moment. It's about a lifetime. Yes, and Selena and Robert are here too. You're close, so let them be witnesses. Principal, I haven't been in contact with Selena or Robert since we graduated from high school. We're just strangers now. Strangers. Cashin, am I a stranger to you? When did you even meet Oriana? Are you lying to me? No way. How could you fall for someone other than me? I wasn't sure if it was my imagination, but for a brief moment, I thought I saw a glint of tears in Selena's eyes. Cashin, I was rude earlier. I apologize, but I wonder if I'll have the honor of attending your wedding. We were blind before, but I've always said that those who are truly excellent will always be excellent. Unlike some yellow-haired people who suddenly become rich and lose themselves. What are you two trying to say? The National Science Team is just a name. Does it make more money than I do? Seeing the classmates who had flattered Robert now turn against him. Robert, visibly furious, interrupted. What's there to be proud of for a pretty boy who got into the limelight because of his face? Cashin, these years must have been really tough for you. Wasn't it hard serving the little princess of the richest family? Seeing I wasn't even the slightest bit angry, with only a faint smile on my face, he suddenly slapped Selena across the face. It's your fault for forcing him to be with you. Now look, he's just humiliating us. Weren't you the one who told me you lived 2 lifetimes? At this point, Cashin should still be working 4 or 5 jobs a day. How did he end up in the National Science Team and even have a relationship with Oriana? I don't know. I don't know. Selena looked completely disoriented. What's going on? So much noise. Honey, will you come with me to my parents' house for dinner later? Oriana, casually sporting a bun today, had her hair tied up high, exposing her fair and delicate face. She jogged over, linking her arm with mine, and subtly nudged Selena to the side. Let me introduce you properly. This is the youngest captain of the National Science Team, Cashin, and I'm Oriana Liu, the consul of Liu Group, and Cashin's fiancée. Cashin. Before Oriana could finish, Selena suddenly burst into tears. Didn't you say you'd only love me, only marry me? Tell me, what's she doing here? Miss Selena, pointing at people with your finger is rude. Cashin has a good temper, but I'm not so forgiving. Oriana squinted, dialing a number, and within moments, she cancelled all collaborations with Robert's family. Chapter 4. Shut up. The person I'm asking is Cashin. The moment the words left her mouth, there was a hint of crying in her voice. Selena completely ignored Robert, whose face was turning green, and just kept interrogating me. Did you plan for me to come looking for you today? Did you do this on purpose to make me regret it? Selena, I think my fiancé has already made things very clear to you. After her repeated lack of gratitude, despite me still caring about our past life, I couldn't help but feel some anger rising. You've been reborn, not had your brain operated on. Who you fall in love with and marry is your own choice. So why look at someone else while eating your own meal? Besides, you don't even compare to Oriana in looks, and not even in figure. Was I blind to have been your simp a second time? We've been together for 10 years. She gestured with her hand, emphasizing it once more. 10 years. You just throw away 10 years of feelings like it's nothing. Don't you have a heart? Oh, so you remember it's been 10 years. Oriana couldn't hold back any longer and retorted. He sacrificed so much for you, because of the guilt over your dead child, because of your endless material desires. He even believed Robert's lies and took on illegal labor, but in the end, he died tragically on his way to buy you flowers. And you used the funeral money to help Robert's failed company. I don't understand how someone could be so cold-hearted. Selena, you've really made me witness the diversity of human nature. No, that's not it. Selena seemed frozen, her face stiff. It took her a while to regain her voice. Cashin, you really told her all these things. I was just angry. Robert said you were on your way to find a woman when you... Selena, don't you think what you just said is ridiculous? Do you believe Cashin would be that kind of person? You know in your heart that this is just your excuse for cheating. Admit it. You can't accept that you're a vain and selfish person. So you've been shifting the blame onto everyone else. Selena turned her gaze to me, blinking her eyes, unable to stop herself from stepping back. Cashin, do you really think of me like this? Yes, I nodded, entwining my fingers with Oriana's. If you had any conscience, you would never have gone through all this trouble to find me. We should just go our separate ways and never contact each other again. I've already allowed you and Robert to live your life. Isn't that enough? But you're shameless and ungrateful. Having said that, I didn't look back and led Oriana out. Honey, you look so handsome when you stood up for me just now. Honey, are you tired? Dad had the kitchen make some ginseng chicken soup, and Mom's preparing to cook herself to celebrate the end of your work. Honey, Don't think about all this troubling stuff. How about I wear that bunny pajama tonight? Oriana lightly poked me with her finger, half teasing, half pleading. Come on, smile, please, smile. All right, stop messing around. Oriana, I'm not thinking about Selena. I've already let go of the past. I'm just thinking about how to plan the proposal when I ask you to marry me. I couldn't help but laugh as I pulled the girl sitting on my lap aside. It's my fault. I still haven't given her enough security. Why even think about it? We'll just have the driver turn around and go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Cashin, don't worry about that. My parents already acknowledge you as my husband. And I love you. That's enough. All those formalities don't matter. Really. I feel like I'm making things too hard for you. Oriana. I tucked her messy hair behind her ear and gently placed a kiss on her forehead. Oriana deserves the best in the world. Sometimes I really don't understand. A good guy like Cashin. Why doesn't Selena know how to cherish him? But I'm grateful to her too. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have met you. Oriana suddenly sighed. Anyway, Cashin's right. The past is the past. Selena has enjoyed the benefits from the previous life for years. She invested in whatever company was rising. But they were so naive. It's two different eras. How could the companies be exactly the same? Speaking of work, Oriana regained her cold, aloof demeanor. A few days ago, I spread some rumors, and as expected, they took the bait. They've invested in all the companies that were about to go bankrupt. It's about time to reel them in. 7 days later, I went to the lab as usual and was stopped by a haggard-looking Selena. Cashin, I went to your house, but there was no one there. I guessed you were at the Lou house, but I couldn't get in. It seemed like she had really made quite a bit of money over the years, even tracking down addresses so easily. As for not being able to get into the Lou house, I knew about that. Yesterday, security was asking everyone about a surveillance video showing a man in black climbing trees and scaling walls. I glanced at her without any visible concern, but when I saw her suddenly deflated stomach, I was momentarily caught off guard. Where is your child? Chapter 5. I had an abortion. She said it matter-of-factly. After I got home that day, I had an argument with Robert. He kicked me and caused the miscarriage. I bled heavily and ended up in the ICU. But he didn't fare well either. The company is going through tough times, and I reported him to the authorities. He's now in custody. Oh, I turned the key in the door. Do you have anything else to say? If not, I'll show you out. My stomach hurts. Her eyes were slightly wet, and her voice sounded faint. Robert said you've got Oriana now, so you wouldn't care about me. It really seems that way now. In the past, when I said I was hurting, you were more anxious than I was. Now, you won't even invite me inside for a seat. Selena. I glanced at her in surprise. How could you think that? Even without Oriana, I wouldn't care about you. Don't think too much of it. Cashin, I really didn't expect to hear this from you. She wiped her tears and suddenly let out a mocking laugh. You've really changed a lot, Selena. If this is just small talk, I don't have the time or desire to indulge you. Do you have anything else to say? Come to think of it, this seemed like the first time I had ever been harsh with her. Selena shrank back, nervously wringing her hands. I just can't accept it. You loved me so much in the past life. Why did you change your heart this time? Why choose Oriana? She said the last 3 words slowly, with great emphasis. I furrowed my brows, not understanding why she was so fixated on me giving her a clear answer. Or rather, was the answer something so important? Something that could truly make her give up for good? When I first arrived in this world, I always thought I was dreaming. I was about to take my college entrance exam, struggling in the sea of test papers during the day, while at night I sank into memories of her, memories that weren't even sweet. When I began to doubt my sanity and thought I might need to see a doctor, I met Oriana, a senior who was minoring in psychology. Every long night, she stayed by my side. I said I liked scientific research, and you deleted my job applications because they didn't make enough money. Oriana took me to meet mentors, encouraged me to pursue my dreams. When my parents died, you said my crying at night disturbed your rest. Back then, Oriana was by my side, running errands and letting me lean on her shoulder. Even with the child you were carrying, Selena, you know better than anyone how it was lost. There's no change of heart. In the beginning, I thought love could overcome anything. But love alone isn't enough. Unilateral love is even more impossible. Our interests are different. Our requirements for life are different. We shouldn't force our values onto others. Parting on good terms is the best ending. And that's the last bit of dignity I'm giving you. Selena remained silent. Or perhaps, her face went pale the moment I mentioned the child she had lost, and there was no trace of color left. I suddenly had a moment of clarity. In my past life, when I saw her like this, my feelings of sympathy would have overwhelmed everything. After all, she was the one who crossed my entire youth. How could I not resent her? From the moment you came to find me, I knew you were also reborn with memories, but you didn't know. I didn't die directly. After I died, my soul was trapped beside you, watching as you and Robert grew old together. Later, before you died, you took out a diary filled with your youthful thoughts, your concerns about me and Robert. I took a deep breath, not caring about Selena, who was biting her lower lip. In that moment, I suddenly felt relieved. Actually, you never loved anyone. You're simply selfish. No, Cashin, no. I waved my hand to interrupt her. You don't need to explain to me. I don't want to hear it, and I don't care to hear it. Selena, we both have new lives now. Whether they're good or bad, they are the choices we've made. Stop causing trouble. Cashin, I love you. I'm not causing trouble. I just want to tell you, I love you. I know you don't believe it, but no one ever told me how to love, and I didn't even understand my own heart. I realized too late. That doesn't matter anymore. I stood up and threw her bag out the door. Love and hate don't matter. You know that. It's too late now. It'll only make people disgusted. I didn't expect that by the afternoon of that day, Robert's company declared bankruptcy protection. According to Oriana, it was all Selena's doing. Robert was frantic in custody. She set up a projector and briefly summarized the recent events. Selena's rebirth was like a butterfly effect. Her and Robert's company was just a middleman. At first, no one believed a small, struggling company could do anything right, but over time, they somehow didn't make a single mistake and squeezed into City A's new elite. But it was precisely this seemingly lucky talent that made most of the companies they cooperated with think business was 100% profitable, ignoring the cost of operations. At this point, she casually shoved a piece of apple into my mouth. In business, the worst thing is impatience. Actually, I didn't really get involved. Ultimately, it's their own fault. I just played a role in pushing their bankruptcy ahead by a few years. On the screen, reporters were still asking about Robert's whereabouts, but Selena, using her position as his wife, skillfully diverted the conversation. Miss Selena, Robert's profile says he's still single. Could you clarify your position here, CEO? But according to our information, you hold less than 3% of the company's shares. The barrage of comments in the video kept rolling in, with 2 messages getting the most likes. I swear, everything I said is true. I'm Selena's doctor. She came to our hospital for an abortion the other day, and the wound looks like it was caused by someone hitting her. It's really tragic. After following Robert for most of her life, not only did she not get a marriage certificate, she has nothing left. Now she has to clean up the mess under her name. I briefly scanned through the comments, but they didn't stir any emotions within me. Oriana, yesterday I discussed with my dad that we'll get our marriage license first, then have the wedding. What do you think? Should we go for a destination wedding or arrange a venue for the reception? I remember you mentioned wanting to swim in the Maldives. I've taken time off, and it's a perfect opportunity. Or we could go to Iceland to see the northern lights. The elders say that wishing upon them is especially powerful. I held Oriana, resting my chin gently on her shoulder. If we're arranging the venue, you can choose whatever style you like, Gothic, classical, both are fine. She turned toward me, giving me a playful kiss on the lips. As long as the groom is you, everything is perfect. Chapter 6. We said it so casually, but both of us were a little excited. Staring at each other well into the early hours, Oriana suddenly sat up and tapped her head. Cashin, we still haven't picked a day to get our marriage license. I glanced at the calendar on the bedside table. It was already past midnight, meaning it was Valentine's Day. Why wait for a good day when you can just go now? Let's go in a bit. After breakfast, Oriana suddenly became uncharacteristically stubborn and refused to leave the house. Cashin, my heart's racing. Today is the 10th year since your rebirth. It's Valentine's Day. The memories that had almost been forgotten rushed back all at once. It was today, in my previous life, that I was fatally stabbed by a mentally ill person. I had suspected many times that Robert hired someone, but the truth was that it was just a coincidence. If I hadn't listened to Robert, hadn't worked illegally, or hadn't tried to win Selena back, I wouldn't have taken the unfamiliar detour to buy flowers. It's all in the past. I gently comforted the person curled up on the chair. It was all in a past life. I won't face that again. Oriana, my life ended today in the past, but the future is still unknown. I can't just avoid danger and stay home forever. Besides, I can't wait to marry you, the eldest daughter of the Liu family. Even eating a meal and being surrounded by people asking for my WeChat without a proper identity. I'm seriously about to die from jealousy. Oriana rubbed her hair, murmuring, all right, fine, we'll go out, but I want to bring more bodyguards. And after we get our marriage license, we're going straight home. Nowhere else. Yes, ma'am. I smiled and put her coat on. Along the way, my heart was racing as well. Unsure whether it was the nervousness about getting the marriage license or the lingering shadow from the previous life. It wasn't until the 2 red books were handed to us that I felt like I had woken from a dream. Help! Someone! Stop that lunatic! He has a knife! Call for help! In an instant, Oriana pulled me tightly behind her. Selena. I widened my eyes in shock, seeing the bloodied figure of Selena who had been stabbed several times. I told you not to lie to me. You're so proud of yourself, aren't you? You worked so hard to bankrupt me, and now you're still lying about being reborn. Now, you've succeeded, haven't you? You've got the person you want, even chasing me to the Civil Affairs Bureau. It's your fault, Selena. You've ruined my wonderful life. You're the reason I'm bankrupt. Without you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Just die. Robert's expression was grotesque and twisted as he staggered to his feet. Before he could raise the knife, he was shot by the police. Help! Someone! Save her! After the gunshot, people finally reacted, rushing toward us. Where's the family? Is there anyone related to the patient here? What? C.A. Cashin, is that his name? Please don't panic. We'll contact your family right away. I turned and saw Oriana gently nodding at me, walking over to Selena's side. I'm Cashin, but I'm not her family. The moment I touched her, she suddenly began coughing up blood in large amounts. Don't save me, Cashin. I don't want to live anymore. Please, tell them not to save me. Isn't it true that if I die, we could start over? She exerted all her strength to lift her hand, trying to reach me. Cashin, I know my mistake now. Please, give me another chance. Cashin, when she was pushed into the ambulance, I let go of her and walked away. There won't be another chance. Selena, your life is yours to control. Whether you want to live or die, I won't stop you. Then, without looking back, I walked to Oriana's side. I thought you were going to take her to the hospital. She's a stranger. I've done my part by sending her off. She wiped the blood from my hands, suddenly pulling me into a tight embrace, tears flowing uncontrollably. Cashin, I'm so glad you're okay. God knows how worried I was when Robert came in. I thought he was the lunatic. Silly girl. I held her tightly, wishing I could fuse with her. Before today, Oriana had secretly gone to the temple, praying and kneeling 3,000 steps for my safety. Not only that, but she also had more than 10 plainclothes officers guarding the road, because she was worried about me. She hadn't slept well for nearly half a month. I sighed deeply, all the words I had in my heart condensed into one sentence. Wife, let's go home.